Enquiries would be the furthest man forward, and he was predictably shite. It looked like our coordination in build-up was coached. Look at Cody Gakpo's position. Got to give the manager credit, whatever you think of him. Right, hello everybody, welcome back to The Golden Sky. I'm Tom, and today I'm going to be analysing Liverpool's 0-0 draw with Arsenal that took place in midweek. A game that a lot of people have called boring, a lot of neutral fans have called boring, but I thought it was anything but boring, especially from a tactical point of view. It was actually very interesting, and it was, in my opinion, one of Liverpool's best performances of the season, if not with the scoreline, certainly from a tactical point of view. So today we're going to go through the clips of the game, but first of all, let's go to the board, and I'll show you, as always, what we're going to be looking out for in those clips later in the video. Alright guys, so this is how the two sides lined up on the day. And Liverpool, as I predicted in the preview, did line up in a 4-4-2. Now, it was a little bit different in terms of who played where in the 4-4-2. Gakpo was on this left-hand side, Frimpong on the right, like we said, and then it was actually Wirtz and Szoboszlai as the two up front, as sort of false 10s, and then McAllister and Gravenberch behind them. No Curtis Jones in this one. But what Liverpool did that was really interesting in this game, that you're going to see a lot of, especially in the first half of the clips we're going to analyse today, is some players in our team went man-to-man and others marked space. And that was a really clever tactical, I don't want to say adjustment, or let's say tactical decision by Arne Slot in this game, because it forced Arsenal into some changes in the first half, and then eventually we ended up getting control of the game. So what were those things? Who went man-to-man? Well, it was the wingers. Gakpo and Frimpong were the ones who went man-to-man. So let's move Arsenal into the positions that they would be when they attacked. So we had Gyökeres would be the furthest man forward, and he was predictably shite. So he stood up front here, and Konate and Van Dijk were very narrow. Then you had Bradley, would also be quite narrow. Frimpong would come back. We'll put him in his spot in a second. Gravenberch and McAllister would screen the middle. McAllister would follow Odegaard. That was his job, but he would also mark space. McAllister and Gravenberch, the two biggest players who marked space in this game. Wirtz and Szoboszlai also marked space. They would come back. Obviously, then Arsenal would put more players forward. So Trossard was here. Bradley was his marker. Hincapié was often really wide, and Frimpong was man-marking Hincapié in that first half. Then Saliba and Gabriel would split. Zubimendi would come a lot of the time into the middle. And then Timber. And Timber's the most interesting one of all the players. He's the one Arsenal really wanted to get onto the ball. I mean, not necessarily in build-up, but the one they wanted to find with runs in behind. And it was clear that Arne Slot had recognised this. It was absolutely clear, because at times, when Jurrien Timber was here, Cody Gakpo would be as deep as our centre-backs would be, and we'd form a sort of a back six like this. And then if Hincapié went inside, Frimpong would follow him. Keep your eye out for Frimpong and Gakpo's position. Timber was making runs in behind like this, and Gakpo would follow him all the way. And it was really confusing for Arsenal, thinking, how do we get that advantage? When the ball would go out wide to Saka, Gakpo would be sometimes a lot deeper than Kerkez would be, going out to try and mark him. And then McAllister and Gravenberch would shuffle across and try and cut off the space. At times on the right-hand side, we'd have two basically full-backs. Hincapié held his width a lot more than Timber did, who likes to make these inverted runs inside. But you'll see that we did this a lot. And what eventually happened was that Timber stopped making these runs down here and started to come inside. And Gakpo ended up following him in here as well. And that was how you could tell it was a clear man-marking job, because when the two full-backs started to come off the wings a little bit, we would just follow them. We would not be at all fussed with staying, in maybe a set block like this. Maybe getting into a set midfield four and sitting like this. Instead, Gakpo would follow his man. McAllister and Gravenberch would mark space. And then Wirtz and Szoboszlai would let Saliba or would let Gabriel have the ball. Wherever they were allowed to have the ball. That's going to be very clear, guys. They were completely allowed to follow the ball, to carry the ball forward. We were aware they were not going to run all the way to the edge of the box, which they didn't, not even one time. We would just let them have it, and then eventually it would more often than not come back to Zubimendi, and they would try and switch the play, and we'd just shuffle across. Everyone would follow their runners, and that was how we played, and it worked really well. Now, I'm going to talk as well a little bit about how we built up. So let's put the team in a sort of build-up position and show how in the second half we were able to use the ball so well and keep it for a long time. Okay, so this is how it looked in the second half when Liverpool got control of the game, and how Arsenal would set up defensively, trying to get the ball back and get possession back, but they couldn't. They could not get the ball off us. Now, you might say this is because, and we're going to touch on this a lot, we didn't have a striker in this game, which was a hindrance to us in certain aspects. That we didn't have a player often who would be in this sort of area of the pitch who could finish chances for us, and certainly we lacked sort of a threat, in behind or when we got the ball wide to whip it in. But what it did give us, having these 4 midfielders on the pitch, plus the 2 wide men, was we had a lot of times an extra body in the middle, which we used to keep the ball really, really well. And I was so impressed in this game with our patience. It was always going to be difficult for us to create a chance against Arsenal. They're a very good defensive team, but our football was decisive. It was quick. I don't mind us having the ball and not being able to create chances against a good defensive side, as long as our football isn't painfully boring to watch. That's the key difference. And what we did a lot that we did really well was when our centre-backs had the ball, Gravenberch would come in here, and Arsenal, they like to press when they're in a defensive shape. Gyökeres, Odegaard and Saka sort of press as a front 3 like this, and they shift Rice, Trossard and Zubimendi into a midfield 3. That's kind of how they set up. And we were just simply, all the time, finding this player in between the lines, Gravenberch or McAllister. McAllister did it really well. Sometimes Gravenberch would drop in and McAllister would come in here. He was excellent in this game, and he would find this area and he was able to just hold off players. When Odegaard would come and press, he would hold off and he would try and find something. And then obviously we lacked, a runner like this, but that's something to look out for in the clips as well, how we were able to progress the ball into the middle using the extra man. So let's go and look at those clips and get through those for the rest of the video. So starting off here then, this is very, very early in the game, and you could see straight away the man marking and how we were going to execute our setup, our game plan, which in the first half was clearly to absorb pressure, see if we can counter-attack, which we almost did, and not let Arsenal get easy chances. And our pressing structure was incredibly organised, and you can see it from the first minutes here. Look at Frimpong straight away. He's following Hincapié like stuck to him like glue, like a common cold in winter, that kind of thing. Gakpo is, you can bet your ass, near Timber if he was on the picture. What's interesting is Szoboszlai and Gravenberch. So Szoboszlai could easily go out to Rice here, easily, but it's interesting to me that he's telling Gravenberch already, look, this is your man. He's saying like, look, me and Flo, we're here. And we are not going out here. Our job is to mark this space. We're marking the centre. We're stopping balls coming from the centre-backs in here. Declan Rice is yours, Ryan Gravenberch, and you're going out to him. And he tells him to, and Gravenberch does exactly that. You see, he puts the press on him. Szoboszlai drops back in. There's no ball around here. Frimpong's tight to Hincapié. Szoboszlai's covering that passing lane. So Arsenal go back. And now, immediately, you see Szoboszlai, he's saying to Gravenberch, look, now, Rice is no danger if he gets the ball here, so get back. He's telling him, look, you can see he's saying, get back in there, get back behind me, get back in your shape. And that's the key part of this first half. It was a mixture of man-to-man and marking space, and we did it perfectly. We did it really, really well. It takes a lot of discipline, and that's what we did. Organisation, we did a great job. And we certainly have been better defensively in recent weeks, so you have to give the manager credit for that, because we've all complained about how bad we were defensively. We've certainly been better over this run of form. Even if you think we've played well or not, we have been better defensively. Now, look, the ball is coming over to the other side. So Timber's over here and Gakpo's near him. He's ready to go out and press. McAllister's following Odegaard. You've got the 2 strikers staying very, very central. Like we just said, they are not concerned at all with the centre-backs coming out into here. They are just not leaving this middle of the pitch. But look over here, this is where the interesting thing is happening again. Now the ball's shifted over to the other side. We saw Frimpong, he was intent on standing next to Hincapié. As the ball's gone over to the other side, you see Gravenberch now, he's the one organising the press, and he's telling Frimpong, look, we don't need you here anymore. Get up here. He's telling him, you get up here and go and look after Declan Rice, and I'll drop back into the space. And we shifted through who was marking man-to-man, who was marking space so fluidly. We did a really good job, and it was difficult for Arsenal to play through us. You see, they've done exactly that. Frimpong's just stepped forward. Gravenberch has dropped back in to sort of more natural midfield area. Something we've struggled with a lot this season, I think, is getting these midfielders in the correct positions. They've often had 2 big spaces to cover. You see Arsenal try and force a pass through to Bob the Builder up front, and Van Dijk just easily brushes him aside, gets his foot in, wins the ball, and we stop them building up. And we did this constantly in the first half. So we move on. It's crucial when you're doing this in a game, when you're sitting back and absorbing pressure, it's crucial that you are able to keep the ball yourselves, because if not, a team can just sustain attacks, and that is when they will break you down and score. It's very difficult to defend against a top team for 45 minutes. If you never get the ball, you never get a set piece, you never get a moment's relief. So how are we able to keep the ball? And this is something I talked about in the preview as well. You can see Arsenal, they press very high. You see that sort of press that I just laid out on the board with Trossard dropping in as a midfielder. And then you've got like a front three of Gyökeres, Odegaard and Saka. They're going to be the ones pressing. And what I said in the preview is our midfielders need to be really, really brave at getting on the ball, because Arsenal press high. This is what they're doing here. Gravenberch is brave, and look how easy this is. Look how simple this move actually is when it's executed well. Alisson finds Gravenberch. Easy pass. Now, Arsenal, a little bit stuck in between here. Declan Rice is nowhere near pressing Gravenberch. They're not taking too many risks. You know, it's early in the game. They're not flying into us. So Gravenberch has a little bit of time, takes the ball, finds Konate. And Arsenal were more than okay with this, us giving the ball to Konate, like I predicted that they would be. You would be if you were a team playing against us. You would rather the ball go out here. But what I enjoyed about this is it looks like a coach move to me, the way that we did this. For the first time in so long this season, it looked like our coordination in build-up was coached, because everything was so decisive. Look, here's what I mean. Konate gets the ball. Now, Gravenberch drops back off to give Konate some relief. We don't need you on the ball all the time. We're going to get Gravenberch on it. He's much harder to press. He's got a much better, fluidity of movement. He can dribble past players. He can go forward with the ball. So he gets the ball back. And now McAllister makes a very, very simple run, but he just pops himself into this space. You see, he's caused a bit of confusion. Odegaard's saying, I can't go in there. You know, that's not my job. I'm now defending as this front three. Declan Rice, I need you to get in here. But Declan Rice is thinking, well, I can't go in here because I've got to deal with Florian Wirtz here. And with the extra man in midfield, we were constantly able to cause confusion with Arsenal. So Gravenberch plays this ball into McAllister, and he's going to get pressed as soon as this ball comes in. You see Rice, he jumps, but he's a little bit slow because of Wirtz's presence behind him. You see Gabriel, he wants to jump on Wirtz now. McAllister uses that time he has. First time ball out to Bradley, really good pass, brave pass. Out we go, and we've beaten not one line, but now two lines of press, and we were away. Now, Bradley doesn't have anything forward to hit, and that's where we struggled a little bit. We didn't have a striker then for when Bradley got the ball here to, hit in the channel or maybe give it to Mo Salah on the wing. We didn't have that. So he goes back, he finds McAllister, and he's able to switch the play out to Kirkes. But it's just to show how well we built up from the goalkeeper. We kept the ball for a little while. We were brave on the ball, and we did this a lot in the first half, even if we didn't get anywhere with it a lot. We got more joy in the second half. But these little breaks where we had extended spells of possession were key and crucial to us having a bit of success in that first half and not conceding a goal. Now, here we see more of Gakpo's position. So Arsenal this time on the ball. Again, we see Saliba this time having the ball. Saliba and Gabriel more than allowed to have the ball in this game. The two strikers not at all concerned with getting out here. McAllister more concerned with Odegaard than Saliba. And look at Cody Gakpo's position. Just look at it. He's as deep as the centre-backs. If I told you this was the back four, you'd probably believe me, wouldn't you? Kirkes is out really wide with Saka. You see where Arsenal want to put Timber. It's a difficult position if you don't bring your left winger back or a centre midfielder or something. Gyökeres is occupying the centre-backs, and we know he's crap, but he's still there. So imagine Gakpo's not there. Timber is marked by Van Dijk, and it's 1v1 at the back. It's difficult. Frimpong also out with Hincapié. So Arsenal have to go back. And we get ourselves back in shape. You see Frimpong, he's now come inside again. He's marking Hincapié. Gakpo still next to Timber. Really, really good stuff from us. The ball comes out wide. Look where Gakpo is. Right back with Timber. I mean, this is a really interesting move from Slot. Really interesting. And you might say, I don't want Gakpo here. You got to think about the circumstance of what game we're playing. It's a tough away game against the most dominant team in the league this season. Okay? We didn't do this for the whole game. We just threw Arsenal right off their game, and Kirkes really tight to Saka, not giving him a minute. He didn't give him a minute all night. He was on him like a rash. Just good setup from us again. Now, this is us again on the ball. This is the This is the move that leads to Bradley hitting the bar. And just, I was so proud of us. I really was in this moment of how we built up. I've been calling for this all season to just build up well, build up properly. Look at this. Arsenal force us back. Kirkus has to play the ball back. It goes all the way to Alisson. Now Arsenal really aggressive. You can see we're 20 minutes into the game here. They're ready to take a few more risks. Zubimendi really tight on McAllister. Rice sprinting towards Gravenberch. They do not want our midfielders to be able to receive this pass. But our midfielders are brave and they do it anyway. Alisson plays McAllister the ball. He's there ahead of Zubimendi, but he knows it has to go first time. Look at Konate. He's ready for it. I like that from Konate. Brave, not shying away from having the ball. McAllister plays it to him. And this is what I mean why it looks coached. The ball comes to the goalkeeper, into the midfielder, first time to the centre-back. Konate, one touch out his feet. He knows Bradley's going to be there. Look again. Look where McAllister is. Remember Gravenberch earlier when he went to Konate and he dropped off to give Konate that pass if he needed it? McAllister doing the same thing, but this time Konate can go down the line, so he doesn't need that pass. Comes into Bradley. Now, when this ball gets to Bradley, he can either open up his body and go down the line like he does, or he could have hit it first time into Gravenberch. He opts to go down the line for Florian Wirtz. He holds the ball, and now he plays it inside where we've broke all through Arsenal's press. You see all these players here out of the game. We've managed to slide through. Wirtz could even knock this one into the space for Frimpong. He's being absolutely wrestled by Hinchapié over here. He doesn't. He goes inside to Bradley. It's really good play again. And now, all of a sudden, we're bearing down on Arsenal's defence. We've cut through them really well. And if Bradley plays this ball a little bit better to Frimpong, he gets in and he's one-on-one. Now, Arsenal get very lucky here. Saliba plays this one back to Raya without looking up. And we're so unlucky that it doesn't go in the net and Raya manages to kick it. But he does kick it, and it falls to Conor Bradley. And this is a great effort. I mean, this is a really good effort. He chips it, as we know. From here, clips the bar, so unlucky not to score. It falls down to Gakpo, and people have been really criticising Gakpo in this moment for having a shot. But if you look at that, I can see why he's done what he's done. We've been waiting all half to have a shot. And in this game, there's been a stat going around that it was the first time we haven't had a shot on target in a Prem game since 2010 or something like that. And obviously that's true. It's a stat. You can't argue with it. But it does paint a picture that we didn't attack in this game. We absolutely did. You have to factor in the circumstances. We've got one attacker fit. That's Cody Gakpo. We hit the bar. We had a few free kicks that narrowly missed. We really did give a good account of ourselves in this one. We also had a few shots blocked that were probably on target as well. And Gakpo has this one blocked here. This one is going to be on target, and if he manages to curl this one in, it's a good chance, but he probably should pass it to Dominic Szoboszlai, who can then maybe sweep it with his left foot. But we move on. Now, we see Arsenal. Now that we've established ourselves on the ball, we've shown Arsenal we have a threat on the counter-attack, and they adjusted. They did not like that at all. They adjusted, and look at the position of Jurrien Timber. We saw earlier he was really advanced on the last line. Now look, they've shifted him inside. So he's now stood right in the middle of the pitch. They've moved Odegaard further forward. They don't want him dropping deep. McAllister is now the one following him all the way into the defensive line. Frimpong's still out here with Hinchapié. Everyone else still doing the same things. But Gakpo now following Timber wherever he goes. And he's now in the middle. And you see Gabriel, we're allowing him to have the ball. No concern with him having the ball at all. Timber's moved all the way out over to him. Completely different position from where he was before. Look at Cody Gakpo, stood right next to him, like his shadow, honestly. And Gabriel, arms out, saying, where do I go with this ball? What do you want me to do? And it's really good from us. Look at our centre-backs on their toes, ready to push on Bob the Builder if he gets the ball. Obviously, he doesn't because he's crap and he never once shows for the ball because he's useless. We did a really, really good job. And this was the only time in the half where Arsenal got some quick passes off and got a little bit of joy against us. They managed to get us really narrow. They get their players close to one another. Odegaard shows for the ball. McAllister's just a step slow on him. Odegaard, first time, finds Rice. And he, in turn, first time, finds a nice ball into Saka. But this is Kirkes at his very, very best. And he was excellent in this game. I gave him a 10 on the player ratings. If you haven't seen them, go and watch them. Saka gets this ball. Kirkes follows him all the way. And this is crucial if you play man-to-man. If your man has the ball, you have to match him. Otherwise, your team will get beat. Kirkes follows him all the way, gets the tackling, gets the blocking, stops a really good chance for Arsenal. And he should have got loads and loads of praise for this. Instead, you had Gary Neville saying how strong Saka was. And I couldn't believe it, to be honest. This is brilliant from Kirkes. So that's the first half. And then in the second half, we said, guys, let's stop messing around here. Let's remind everybody that we're Liverpool Football Club. We're not here to be, made to look like the worst team the whole game. We're going to get ourselves on the ball and we're going to play a little bit as well. Now, you see where we struggled. We've got nobody in the final third in the middle. Nobody. And that's where we're missing Ekitike, we're missing Isak. Obviously, you'd miss your strikers if they weren't fit. It goes without saying. Except maybe Arsenal. Gravenberch on the ball. He's going to try and find an opening. And we had to be patient because we don't have, again, look, we don't have a striker. So the only way we were going to score a goal in this game was by being patient, by waiting for an opportunity to open up, by keeping the ball. It certainly wasn't just going to come from nothing. We had to keep the ball, try and move Arsenal around. Maybe a counter-attack, maybe a penalty. And that's what we're going to see here. Kirkes beats Saka, gets away. Can we find the pass? He goes to Gakpo, and now Wirtz fills up that really dangerous position that we want him in. He's not too wide, but he is still in that left half space where he does his damage. Gakpo finds him, and he just goes full Florian Wirtz Super Saiyan mode, to be honest. He starts dribbling past everybody, goes around the few here, carries on with his run. Now he's got basically Arsenal's whole team around him. He's surrounded by the whole of North London. No bother. He just dribbles through them, and then he gets this challenge on him by Trossard. And for me, this is a stonewall penalty. And there's not, without playing you the video, which I can't do, there's not really the best footage of it that I can show you how clear of a penalty, in my opinion, it is. This is the best picture I could really find, where you can see Trossard just body checks him with no intention of playing the ball. He knocks into him with his body and he trips him up with his leg. For me, it's a stonewall penalty kick. Doesn't get given. We move on. We've already talked enough muckery on the player ratings anyway. So we move on to the next clip. Here's McAllister this time winning a 50-50. We won a lot of duels in this game. It was great to see. From a throw-in, the ball goes long, and Frimpong is a threat. Whenever the ball goes into space, you best believe he's going to be the one to get it. And he does get it here, and we're unlucky that the ball was just a little bit too high for him, and he couldn't have nodded it, down into the space, because he'd have been away, clear, through on goal, ready to score. But he wasn't able to do that. But he was able to keep the ball and bring us into play. Again, we see we don't have a striker. We're struggling with players into the box. You see Szoboszlai telling him to go back, keep the ball. But Frimpong manages to find Wirtz. And Wirtz just works a little bit of magic here. He just dribbles and dribbles, waits for a bit of something to open up. I don't know how he sees this pass, to be honest. He just shifts it onto his left foot and very quickly plays a ball just here where Frimpong was walking. I don't even think Frimpong had any idea this pass was coming to him. Wirtz sees it, plays it to him, and look at the space he gets himself into. And this is what I mean where I don't think he had any idea he was getting this ball, because he never once looks up. He doesn't realise how much time he has. He could take a touch here, swivel, and, maybe take a shot towards goal. He could maybe find a pass to Szoboszlai. Can they maybe do a quick 1-2, into here, make this run? But what he doesn't get his head up, he goes back to Kirkes, and that's where we struggled in the game without the focal point of a striker. But it was just, again, showing our threat in behind, showing our patience on the ball, a good play from Wirtz, Frimpong being a threat, and how we struggled without a striker. But the way that we tried to get around it, again, more Liverpool good play on the ball this time, building up, trying to create something. We see Arsenal not really coming towards our centre backs on the ball. We really gained Arsenal's respect in this second half, and Konate used the ball really well. Here's a good example. Alexis McAllister in the middle. Now he's in the middle of the pitch, found a little pocket of space, but you see he's checking his shoulder, which if you're a centre back, if you see your midfielder checking your shoulder, that should be a universal sign for, I should get ready to pass him the ball, because once he's checking if there's anyone behind him, it's a clear sign that he's looking to get on the ball. And you can see the whole picture as a centre-back. There's no one behind him. And McAllister here links up with Konate well, finds the ball, receives the ball on his back foot, so he's able to turn. He's already on the half turn by the time the ball comes to him, which means he can seal Odegaard off. You see, Odegaard is not able to make this tackle because he's turned already away from the pressure. This is brave from McAllister, it really is, to be able to receive the ball here. We did it all the time in this game. Now, again, this is where, if we had Ekitike, you imagine he's here, McAllister can maybe find him. We don't have him. He's not fit. He was just not available for this game, which is so unfortunate. Maybe he could have slipped the ball in here, but he carries on running, ends up into this area, forces a challenge from Zubimendi, wins a free kick, which was another area we maybe could have scored from in this game if Szoboszlai had got them right. He didn't quite get them right, but still, this is us trying to use what we could in the game without the attackers we had to make something happen and win the game. Now, you're going to see how we pressed, and this is how we were able to have so much of the ball in the second half, because we just simply wouldn't let Arsenal have it. It wasn't the case of them sitting off us and saying, okay, we accept the point. We really did not let them have the ball in the second half. We pressed the life out of them. Look how brave we're being here at the Emirates. This is more of us kind of going man-to-man. You see, Wirtz and Szoboszlai are strikers, ready to press, Wirtz especially, ready to cut off this whole side of the pitch. McAllister really high on Odegaard, not letting him get involved in the press. You see Rice, he's already moaning. They haven't even took the kick. He's already having the moan. Gabriel is telling him, kick it long. We don't want it here. They do go to the goalkeeper. Szoboszlai's jumped on Zubimendi. There's no way he's getting this ball. Wirtz has cut off this side of the pitch. There's no way Raya can go here. McAllister has jumped onto Odegaard. There's no way he can go here. We're only letting Gabriel have this ball. The ball comes out to Gabriel, but Szoboszlai is athletic enough, and we know this, athletic enough to get over here. So Wirtz runs over to Zubimendi. He can't get it now. Szoboszlai runs over to Gabriel. He's now got to play the pass. He can't give this one to Lewis Skelly because Frimpong will be on him like a flash. Look at Rice, he's coming for the ball, but who's on him? Man to man. Gravenberch, everyone to a man, right on their task, doing a really good job. There's no way this ball can come in here, so Gabriel tries to play it down the line. Conor Bradley steps in, he's aggressive, head of Trossard, wins the ball back for us. Really front-footed, aggressive, organised, brave pressing from us. You've got to give the manager credit, whatever you think of him, setting us up in this way at the Emirates. He's done a lot of things wrong this season, absolutely, but this man here, with his shiny, bald head, was brave in this game, and I can really respect that from him. Now, we're going to end on this one. This was probably our best chance of the second half. I think it was our best chance of the second half, and on another day, we play this one right, we score, and we get away with a 1-0 win. You see Gravenberch on the ball, touchline, he's got Arteta tackling him. I wish someone would have just two-footed this fella at this point. He's literally tackling Gravenberch. But he doesn't mind. He's super calm on the ball. He's looking up. He's got no one to hit. You see, here are two strikers. There's no one further forward. There's no player for Gravenberch when he looks up here to hit. But he doesn't panic. And we did this so well. Instead of just hoofing it and giving it back to Arsenal, he takes his time, holds the ball, waits for support, finds Szoboszlai eventually. And now we have the spacing behind where Frimpong could just eat it up, and with Lewis Skelly marking him, this is really no contest whatsoever. He knocks the ball in behind Szoboszlai, Frimpong gets onto it, and this is the killer screenshot for me from this game, because if Frimpong's able to roll this ball into Florian Wirtz, think of the goal, I'm going back a long way now, in pre-season that Wirtz scored against Yokohama Marinos. It was just like this. He got the ball rolled across to him, and he just swept it in this far corner. Now, if Frimpong manages to get this ball to him here, there's no telling me that he's not finishing this ball. He absolutely is. And I still don't know, I've watched it back so many times, if Saliba gets a touch on it to move it away or not. But if he does or he doesn't, it doesn't matter, because the ball doesn't end up with Wirtz. It goes behind him. It's either a bad pass from Frimpong or good defending from Saliba. But could he maybe have, just fired it across the goal? I think he does the right thing in trying to find Wirtz. He just executes it badly, or like we said, it's a great block from Saliba. So unlucky, that could have been the key moment, but overall, a really positive away performance. We're the only team that Arsenal have not scored against this season, and we've now played them twice. So you have to give credit to us for our defensive setup. We can all sit and moan about Slot's football, but you have to give him credit when it goes right. And I think in this game, we were really brave. We gave a good account of ourselves. And we reminded everyone, we are a good side. We're just maybe going through a bit of a rough patch. We've got a lot of injuries as well, which were evident in this one as well. Alright guys, that is going to do it for today's video. I really do hope that you did enjoy a bit of analysis there for a 0-0 that has been criticised as a game, as a spectacle, but I think there was a lot there to really sink your teeth into, and as someone who really enjoys that type of thing, I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And if you did, please do click that like button. We're trying to get to 30 likes on all the videos. We smashed it on the player ratings, so can we smash it on the tactical analysis as well? That'll be much appreciated. If you did enjoy as well, please do click that subscribe button if you are new around here. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers, and like I said recently, we are getting really close to 400. So let's get there and then make the push for 500. Click that subscribe button if you are new, podcast listeners, 5-star rating and reviews, follow the show, all that good stuff. Guys, I will not be doing a preview for Barnsley. I hope you can forgive me on that one. I've made a video nearly every day in 2026. Unfortunately, I don't know much about Barnsley, and I won't be researching them for the whatever round of the FA Cup it is. I think it's the third round. I will do ratings for it, of course, but there will be no preview tomorrow, but there will be ratings on Monday night. So I will see you on Monday for the player ratings. Until then, I hope you have a good weekend. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll speak to you all Monday night. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.